to you about a few things. The Democrat Party doesn't want to talk about inflation, immigration, food prices, gasoline prices, crime. It wants to talk about race, and it wants to talk about abortion. So let's.
I mean, you look at what he did in changing the rules for the Treasury for the suspicious activity reports, okay? Why do you change that? If there's nothing there, then that should be open and we should be able to see that. And it's our job as oversight to make sure that the American people are put first, and that's for whom we work, and we want to make sure that the administration has their best interest at heart when they're making decisions.
And just to be clear, the suspicious money reports that you're referring to, this would shine a spotlight on whether or not Hunter Biden's bank accounts were showing big deposits from perhaps Chinese officials.
It would show where the money might have come from, if it did. But let's really take a look at this and shine a light of transparency on the activities of Hunter Biden. I mean, it's been a lot of reports about what happened, and I think that we owe it to the American people to get to the bottom of that. And I think the president, caring about his son, would want to put this to bed too.
Well, we're going to speak with Senator Ron Johnson coming up, and he has reported from his Senate investigation that the Biden family has taken in tens of millions of dollars from Chinese officials. Is that the reason that this administration canceled the China initiative? The China initiative was an initiative that was investigating intellectual property theft by Chinese companies. It was costing American businesses hundreds of billions of dollars. Do you think that he's canceling things like the China initiative, being soft on tariffs, because he's compromised?
I would, hate to say why he's doing it. Certainly, if he's talking about running again, as they mentioned in the clip that you have there, certainly wouldn't want to have this story come out. But, I don't know why he's being soft on China or any other nation.
Against pro-life clinics offering pregnancy advice. They've been the subject of arson attacks. The media pays no attention to it. But it's not at all surprising, given the ugly rhetoric that we've seen from politicians in Washington. And it's not just Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren issuing veiled threats outside the United States Supreme Court. You've got Senator Mazie Hirono and Representative Tim Ryan, who are saying it's a call to arms.
Call to arms, okay? A call to arms. That means, like, get your arms, get your guns. She says literally a call to arms, right? Listen.
Because that's what's happening. Madam President, I yield the floor, but clearly, this is a literally call to arms in our country.
A call to arms, literally. All right, well, that's Senator Hirono demanding, I guess, political violence by saying that anybody who opposes what the GOP is doing on abortion, I guess, should grab their arms and go wage war from the Democrats. I wonder if she'll be investigated. I wonder if her house will be raided. I wonder if she'll be the subject of the FBI homegrown violent extremism organization's ire. I doubt it.
Execute that plan. Vice President Harris says Republicans are playing games with human lives by busing migrants out of Texas. What's your response to the Vice President playing games?
Now, if there's anything, this administration won't even play games. They won't even acknowledge that it is happening. In El Paso, in my district, you have hundreds of migrants that are sleeping in the streets, and the vice president won't come down. She's coming to Texas to do a fundraiser in Austin next month. They won't look at the border. It's time for House Republicans to highlight exactly what is wrong with them. And when we're in power, we have to end this. There's too much at stake. Every city in America is now a border city. No one feels safe. We have to make sure America feels safe again. And that starts with House Republican leadership.
Congresswoman Breitbart, the survey shows that Hispanics' opinions are not that different from everyone else's. White Americans feel the policy is appropriate by a similar margin. That's got to surprise the folks at Politico, but not you or me. We know that common sense knows no borders or pigment. And sending illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities who boasted always of their willingness to embrace them That makes total sense. After all, what could be wrong with giving people what they're asking for?
Figure out why Biden keeps lying about the border. Last year, he told us it was completely under control.
In April alone, Mr. President, 170,000 people, migrants, apprehended at the border. It's a 20-year record. There are 22,000 unaccompanied children in our country right now. That's a record. That sounds to most folks like a crisis.
Well, look, it's way down now. We've now gotten control.
Millions of illegals have come in since. Joe also told us he doesn't have the time to see the border for himself.
Do you have plans to visit the southern border?
I've been there before, and I haven't. I mean, I know it well. I guess I should go down, but the whole point of it is I haven't had a whole hell of a lot of time to get down.
Yeah.
What Ron DeSantis did by buying 50 migrants plane tickets to Martha's Vineyard is he made the elites put their money where their mouths are, which they didn't.
He says that people were giving false representations about where they were being going, transported, that kind of thing. What would be waiting for them? He says, I urge U.S. DOJ to investigate whether the alleged fraudulent inducement would support charges of kidnapping under relevant state laws, which could serve as a predicate offense for charges under RICO. Jonathan, you've written about this.
Yeah, it's absurd. They suggest that this can be kidnapping. There might have been confusion. There might have been misrepresentation for some, but these are consensual trips, and they have records of the consent. You have Hillary Clinton saying that this is literally human trafficking, which is legally nonsense. I mean, human trafficking is designed to prevent sexual and labor exploitation. These are people who have been released into the country by the Biden administration and have accepted trips to cities like Chicago, New York, in this case, Martha's Vineyard. They have a right to go on those trips, and the states have a right to facilitate them.
So here is what President Biden...
Opportunity at all. State of Florida, it was volunteer, offered transport to sanctuary jurisdictions because it's our view that, one, the border should be secured, and we want to have Biden reinstitute policies like remain in Mexico and making sure that people aren't overwhelming. But short of that, if you believe in open borders, then it's the sanctuary jurisdictions that should have to bear the brunt of the open borders. So that's what we're doing. But what happened was... They were provided an ability to be in the most posh sanctuary jurisdiction maybe in the world. And obviously it's sad that Martha's Vineyard people deported them the next day. They could have absorbed this. They chose not to. But what it shows is if 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands?
Actions by these Southern Republican governors.
Well, they absolutely do not have it under control. And what the governors are doing is exactly the same thing that the Democratic administration has been doing. They've actually been moving people throughout the country as well. We have a statute that says that when people come into the United States illegally, they shall be detained until their proceedings are concluded. We're ignoring that statute. The Biden administration is cutting enforcement on administration. They're cutting the budget on detention. To single this out, given the botch that they've made of immigration policy, is just staggering.
To make more of an impact, and I think that at the end of the day, what we're doing is not the ultimate solution. I think it's opening people's eyes to the solution, which is let's have a secure border, let's have remain in Mexico, let's take the cartels seriously, and let's get with the program here. What they have been doing for a year and a half or more than that is basically ignoring that the problem exists. And I know a lot of the national corporate press doesn't like to talk about it, but the reality is when you have the vice president saying there's no border crisis, when we've had millions of people come across illegally.
We're putting it out to the entire country. This is what we'll do. But on that very first day that we're sworn in, you'll see that it all changes. Because on our very first bill, we're going to repeal 87,000 IRS agents. Our job is to work for you, not go after you.